We've met Castle Crenshaw, or Ghost, and we know that the coach of the Defenders would like to have him running on his team. Ghost does not seem willing. Let's keep reading on the middle of page 20. Nope. Just like that. Nope. Judging by the look on Coach's face, I could tell nobody said no to running on his team ever. What you mean, nope? Why not? All the other runners on the track were cracking jokes and playing around. Everybody but Lou. He was back on the line, down on his knees like he was getting ready to take off again. Because my sport is basketball. You play ball? He asked, like he didn't believe it. Like I didn't look like I could hoop. Yup. For who? Why you keep asking me who I do things for? I snapped, mainly because I didn't play ball for nobody. Not yet, at least. But it was still in my plans. Plus, who was he to be all in my business anyway? I didn't even know him, and he didn't know me. Look, even if I wanted to join your team, I continued, I would have to ask my mother first, and she probably going to say no, so let me ask her, he cut in. Why you care? It's just running, I said. Is that what you think? Coach narrowed his eyes. That this is just running? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what else is there? Ready, set, go, run, the end, I said like a robot. Coach let out a hearty laugh, the kind that sounds fake. Ha ha! Nobody really laughs that hard and that loud without bending over like it hurts. We'll get to that, Coach said, cutting his laugh off instantly. Like I said, fake. For now, let's focus on the task at hand. If your mom says it's cool, will you join? Man, I told you I play ball. Coach sized me up, biting down on his bottom lip. Okay, I'll tell you what. Basketball's your sport? Cool. But if you want to be a better ball player, join this team and you'll be faster and stronger than anyone on any court. Matter of fact, your legs will be so strong, you'll be dunking on people by next year. You think I'm stupid? I looked at him sideways. Ain't no way I could be dunking in a year. I never heard of no 8th graders that can dunk. Depends on what you say next. You are if you don't let me ask your mom about joining. Coach was looking at me like he was dead serious, like he really thought running could help my hops and get me dunking by next year, which, if that did happen, I would go right down to the court with Sicko and them and demand to play. I kept checking his face for a sign he was lying, a sign that would have been easy to see because he didn't have any hair to disguise it. But there was no sign, no lie. Man, I'm telling you, she ain't gonna say yes. Good enough, Coach nodded, a sure smirk on his face. Practice is almost over. Might as well stay, and then I'll drop you off at home. I'll talk to her then. Cool? Not cool. Not really. I mean, track. And who was this man? I've seen those weird shows where psychos pose like coaches and stuff and get you caught up, and the next thing you know, my mother's in jail too for handling this dude. I didn't trust him. But on the other hand, I didn't really have anything else to do or nowhere else to be, so I figured it was worth scoping him out and seeing how he acted around all the other kids and their parents. I mean, I could always use the ride home, but I ain't no fool. After practice was done, everybody met up with the people waiting for them, family and friends or whatever. Coach spent a lot of time talking to the moms and dads, mostly moms, especially of the vets. They all acted like they really, really knew each other, like family, hugs, and all that. And that made me feel a little better about him because moms don't trust nobody around their kids. So I agreed on the ride. Coach and I walked to his car, which I was surprised to see was a cab. You stole a cab? I asked, while he cleaned a bunch of stuff off the seat. Food bags, shoes, water bottles, sports drinks. The front of his car was a mess. He threw everything in the back. No, Coach said, brushing crumbs on the floor so I could finally get in. What makes you think that? Because you a coach, I said, holding my backpack in my lap. So how you get one? I coach because I love it, but it don't pay the bill. Well, it don't pay the rent. Being a cab driver does. He started the car. Then why would you love coaching? Seems like if being a cabbie gets you paid, that should be what you love. I explained what seemed obvious, looking out the window. Coach backed out of the parking space. Wait, I said. You're not going to make me pay for this ride home, are you? Because if you are, you can just let me out and I'll walk. I can walk. Why would I make... Coach started and then stopped. Then he sighed. Just tell me where you live. Where I live. Where I live. When anyone ever asks about where I live, I get weird because people always treat you funny when they find out you stay in a certain kind of neighborhood. But I was used to people treating me funny. When your clothes are 2 sizes too big and you got on no-name sneakers and your mother cut your hair and it looks like your mother cut your hair and you get used to people treating you funny. So what's one more person? Glass Manor, I said. You know where that's at? Coach didn't blink. Yeah, I know where that is. We didn't say too much in the car, just zipped from one side of the neighborhood to the other, from the good side to the other side. It was my first time ever in a cab. I was used to walking everywhere unless I was going somewhere with my mom, then it was on the bus. Coach talked on the phone most of the trip. Judging by what he was saying, what time he'd be home, checking to see if somebody named Tyrone had eaten yet, asking what was for dinner, made me think he was talking to his wife. I wonder what she looked like. Probably not too hot, since she married a man who looked like a chip-toothed turtle. Coach was saying something about gym shoes to the maybe wife on the phone when I noticed a woman walking in white scrubs, white sneakers, carrying a black leather purse big enough to fit the whole world in it, and her hair was cut like a boy's. I tapped Coach on the arm and told him to pull the cab over. Hold on, he said to the person on the phone, and then to me. What? Pull over, I repeated. That's my mother. Coach pulled to the side of the street and I rolled down the window. Ma! I called out, waving to her. She looked, then looked again, trying to make sure I was who she thought I was. Cass, she said, approaching the cab. What are you doing in a cab? Matter of fact, what are you doing in the front seat of a cab? No, answer the first question. What are you doing in a cab? Hop in, I said. No, you hop out, she replied. Ma'am. Coach leaned over so she could see him. It's fine. Hop in. I'm just giving him a ride home. Then he added, on the house. Coach swiped everything on the back seat to one side as I reached back and opened the door. My mother stood outside the car for what seemed like minutes before deciding to climb in. And even after she did, she kept the door open, one foot still on the sidewalk so she could jump back out if she needed to. Her bag, which I knew was full of styrofoam containers of chicken and gravy or whatever gross but free meal we were going to be having for dinner, crunched on the seat beside her as she finally pulled her leg in and closed the door. How was work? I asked as Coach pulled back into the street. Cass, don't how was work me. Why are you in a cab? And excuse me, sir, no offense, but who are you? She asked. Told you, moms don't trust nobody around their kids. Coach adjusted the rearview mirror so he could see my mother in the back. I'm Coach Brody, but everybody calls me Coach. I run the Defenders City track team. Uh-huh. And your son came and sat in on my practice today. Coach threw a quick glance at me. Did you know he could run? Did I know he could run? She was sitting directly behind me, but I could feel the heat of her eyes burning through the headrest, scorching the back of my neck. Yeah, he can run. Like, really run? My mother just sort of grunted. I knew better than to say anything or to even turn around and look back at her. I just said to the coach, "Make this left," when we got close to my street. Coach made the left and continued. I think he's got potential. With the proper coaching, he could be a serious problem. I felt like I had seen this in every single sports movie I had ever watched. All of them. Ma'am, your son has potential. If it went like the movies, I was going to either score the game-winning touchdown, which is impossible in track, or die. Sir, I appreciate that, but let me tell you something. Cass already is a serious problem, my mom explained. And right now, he needs to focus on school, not sports. Right here, I murmured to let Coach know where to stop and let us out. I figured there was no reason to drag the conversation out. It went exactly like I thought it would. So I wasn't even really mad about it. He cut his blinker on, pulled over, and put the car in park. Listen, Coach turned around to look my mother in the face. I totally get that. But what if I made you a deal, he went on. If he messes up in school one time, he's off the team. One time? I squawked. One time. Coach held his hand out to my mother. I kept my eyes forward until I heard her exhale the breath of a long day. You gonna get him home every day? She asked. Yes. What about his homework? It'll be done. He sounded pretty confident for not even knowing me like that. Coach gave us both one of his cards. I put mine in my backpack while Ma gazed at hers, making sure everything was legit. Then she let out another big sigh, this time probably the breath of a worried mom. Well, at least I'll know where he'll be after school, she gave in. And that was it, just like that. For the first time in my whole life, I was on a team. Chapter 3. World record for the most altercations. What do they call criminal records? Not criminal records. They call them something else. Rap sheets. Yeah, that's it. Rap sheets. Which is such a dumb name because it makes me think of rap music. Like maybe a rap sheet is what rappers write their rhymes down on. But yeah, rap sheets. I got one of those. Not a real one though. One that real criminals have. No. I got a school rap sheet. But in school they call it a file. I got a file. And even though I've never actually seen it, it has to be pretty big because I'm always being sent down to the principal's office or put in detention or suspended for shutting people down for talking smack. Oh, Castle, why your clothes so big? Why your pants so small? Why your name Castle? Why you always smell like you walked 1,000 miles to get here? Why it looked like somebody tried to cut your hair with a butter knife? And my response would be, well, let's just use the schooly terms. Not exemplary behavior. But I'd made a decision that there would be no more entries added to the file. The file would be closed forever because now my new career in track, which was really my soon-to-be career in basketball, was at stake. All of a sudden, I had too much on the line. There would be no more altercations. That's the word Principal Marshall always used on the phone with my mother. Altercations. And I was altercation-free for 17 hours and 2 minutes. Uh-oh, more foreshadowing. It feels like maybe Ghost is going to struggle with keeping his record clean, but we'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out.